Level 1. The Taken Boy. You are still a child when the riders come. Not an army. A machine. Paperless. Cold eyes. The levy that turns villages into hunting grounds. You are measured like livestock. Teeth. Shoulders. Calmness when you try not to cry. Then you are pulled out of your mother's hands. Not because you are guilty, because you are useful. You walk for days with other boys who smell like fear and old wool. You learn fast that begging does nothing, crying does less. At night, you hear prayers in languages you barely understand. In the morning, you see the same sun, but it feels like it belongs to someone else now. Your name starts to rot. They say you will be made clean. You will be remade. The old faith is treated like dirt under a boot. Your hair is cut. Your skin is scrubbed. Your body is marked by conversion you do not choose. Devshirme is not a story about opportunity. It is a story about being harvested. Level 2. The Provincial Household. They do not throw you straight into barracks. First, they soften you like leather. You are placed with a Muslim family in the provinces. You learn Turkish the hard way, through scolding and hunger and repetition. You carry water, you split wood, you swallow insults with the same discipline you swallow bread. This is where your old self gets starved out. Not in a single day. In 1,000 small humiliations, you learn how to stand without fidgeting, how to look down without looking weak, how to answer before the question ends. Your accent becomes a crime you keep correcting. You start to dream in new words. That is the real takeover. The language crawls into your skull and pushes the old prayers into a corner. You learn the customs. You learn the posture of obedience. You learn that the state has a long memory, and it does not forgive boys who refuse to become tools. When they finally collect you again, you are no longer the child they stole. You are a blank page, with ink already soaking through. Level 3. The Acemi Oğlan Cadet. Now you enter training. The word for you means new recruit, but it feels closer to captive being shaped into a weapon. The discipline is severe. The routine is brutal. Hard labor, drill, silence. A life built to crush private desires until only duty remains. They push celibacy and restraint like a chain around your throat. You are taught to keep your body under control, because an uncontrolled body becomes an uncontrolled mind. You learn to sleep light. You learn to eat fast. You learn to move as a unit, because alone is how you get broken. Older cadets watch you the way wolves watch a limping animal. Not to kill you, to measure if you will survive. Your hands blister. Your back thickens. Your eyes harden. The smell of the training yards sinks into you, sweat and dust and oiled wood, and it never fully leaves. You are told the Corps is your family now. The hearth, the okak, the state wants you to forget you ever had another one, and slowly, you do, because remembering hurts. Level 4. The New Soldier, Nefer. You earn the right to wear the look of a Janissary. The hat, the strange dignity, the spoon holder on the front that whispers what you are, a servant of the Sultan's household dressed like a warrior. It is symbolism with teeth. You exist to be fed by the state and to feed the state with violence. You are placed into an Orta, a core unit of the Corps. The barracks are their own world. Your bed is not yours. Your food is not yours. Your time is not yours. You share everything, including punishment. You learn quickly that the Corps does not need to beat you often. The threat of losing your place does the work. In peacetime, you are not just a soldier. You can be a guard, a policeman, even a firefighter in the capital. Your uniform makes civilians step aside. It also paints a target on your back when politics turns hungry. You are paid, not rich, but steady, enough to feel the difference between you and the peasants you once resembled. That difference is a leash. Level 5. The Campaign Veteran. War is where the Corps stops pretending it is only a household. On campaign, your Orta gathers under its own tent, separate, disciplined, watching the rest of the army like outsiders who happen to be essential. You march through mud that swallows boots. You sleep with lice. You drink water that tastes like metal and sickness. You learn what muskets do to flesh, how a man can be alive at dawn and a smear by noon. The Corps adapts. Firearms become routine. Engineers and sappers dig under walls. You work like a craftsman and kill like a butcher. You also learn the darker economy of war. Loot, privilege, the silent understanding that the Janissaries get their share. It is not generosity, it is management. Keep the blade sharp. Keep the men invested. After enough battles, you stop flinching at screams. You start flinching at quiet. Quiet means ambush. Quiet means plague moving through camp. Quiet means orders coming. You come back older than your years. Your face holds the blankness of someone who has seen bodies stacked like firewood. And you are still hungry. Because the Corps trains you to be. Level 6. The Odabashi. Master of the room. Now you are not just surviving the barracks. You are running a piece of them. As an Odabashi, you are the man who keeps the room from collapsing into chaos. You wake others before dawn. You enforce cleanliness that still never feels clean. You settle disputes before they become knife work. Power at this level is intimate. It smells like sweat and damp wool. You know who is drinking too much, who is stealing rations, who is whispering against an officer. You do not have to shout often. You only have to look at the right man the right way. The Corps is built on obedience, but it is also built on tension. Every Orta is a furnace of pride. You keep it burning without letting it explode. If someone fails inspection, your name is attached to the failure. If someone deserts, the stain spreads. You start to understand the real price of belonging. The Corps gives you status, but it also locks you inside a constant test. You cannot relax. A relaxed Janissary becomes a dead Janissary, or worse, a useful pawn for someone else's ambition. You are no longer afraid of pain. You are afraid of losing control. Because control is what makes you more than a body holding a musket. Level 7. The Kethuda, Deputy and Fixer. Now your job is not the room. It is the machinery behind the room. Kethuda means steward, deputy, lieutenant. In practice, it means you are the one who makes orders real. Supplies, paperwork, discipline, the ugly details that decide whether men fight or rot. You are close enough to officers to hear the truth. Pay delays, political pressure, favor traded for appointments. You learn that the Corps is holy in its myths, but human in its behavior. Men who preach loyalty also hoard coin. Men who demand discipline also cut deals. You become dangerous because you understand connections. Who owes whom? Which clerk can be bribed? Which captain is one insult away from rebellion? At this level, you stop thinking of violence as only battlefield work. Violence is also bureaucracy. A signature that ruins a rival. A posting that sends a troublemaker far away. You still eat with the men, but you are no longer one of them. They watch you the way they once watched their commanders. Some with respect, some with hate. Because you can make their lives easier or unbearable, and they know it. This is where the journey shifts. The lower ranks break your body. This rank starts to poison your mind. Level 8. The Chorbacı, Commander of an Orta. Your title sounds like kitchen work. Soup man. That is the point. The Corps wraps authority in household language to remind you that you are servants first. Still, everyone knows what you are. You command an Orta, roughly a battalion, the unit that gives the Janissaries their structure and identity. You stand in front of men who would die on command, and you feel the weight of that power like a stone in the gut. You do not just lead them into battle. You decide who gets punished, who gets promoted, who gets the better watch rotation. Small decisions that build loyalty or breed hatred. On campaign, your tent is separate. Your voice becomes law. In the capital, your authority is threaded through ceremony and tradition. The Sultan is the supreme commander. But you live with the Corps every day. You feel its moods, its pride, its appetite. You learn to speak in clipped sentences. Too much emotion makes you look weak. Too much softness makes you look corrupt. The men do not want a friend. They want a machine that keeps them alive and keeps the OCAC honored. At night, the silence is different, not fear. Calculation. You lie awake, hearing your own thoughts, and realizing how much you have become what was done to you. Level 9. The Agha's man. Power near the gate. Above the Orta level, you stop thinking like a soldier and start thinking like a courtier. The Janissary leadership is tied to the palace. The commander of the whole Corps, the Janissary Agha, is chosen by the Sultan and holds direct influence at court. He has his own seat of administration, his own gate, his own gravity. If you rise into his circle, you learn the capital's real battlefield. Petitions, rumors, crowd control. The Janissaries are not only troops, they are also part of maintaining order in Istanbul alongside the Grand Vizier. That means the streets can become your front line. A riot is a campaign. A protest is a siege. You wear authority like armor, but it is thin. The core can be loyal. It can also be a threat. The same disciplined institution that made sultans powerful can pressure sultans when it feels cheated, unpaid, or ignored. You feel the tension in every delay of wages, every whisper in the barracks, every merchant who suddenly smiles too politely. Here, paranoia becomes a skill. You stop asking what is true. You ask what will spread. Level 10, Agha of the Janissaries. At the top, your life is ceremony wrapped around danger. You are the commander of the corps, a senior figure in the Ottoman system, close enough to the Sultan to speak privately, powerful enough to frighten ministers, and exposed enough to be replaced overnight. You are supposed to control an institution that was designed to be controlled. Yet, the corps is massive, proud, and full of men who remember their own strength. History taught the palace a lesson long ago. Loyalty is never permanent. That is why the office can be filled by someone not born from the ranks, someone shaped by palace training and household service, someone the Sultan believes is safer. You sit at the Agha's gate and handle the endless stream of requests, disputes, punishments, favors. You keep the capital quiet. You accompany the Sultan in public rituals. You send men to war and pretend you can still call them back. This is not victory. This is solitude. You cannot trust the officers beneath you because they want your seat. You cannot trust the court because it fears your core. You cannot trust the core because it knows it can break emperors the way it breaks walls. You started as a taken boy. Now you are a gatekeeper of violence, and the gate never truly closes.